Today, we're going to explore a program called Rewiring Calm. It's designed for autistic adults and their families who are navigating the immense challenges of chronic nervous system dysregulation. It represents a structured path toward lifting the accumulated weight of anxiety and sensory overload and finding a new way of being.
So here's our roadmap. We'll start by really understanding the challenge. Then we'll walk through the program's 3 distinct phases. And finally, we'll look at the principles of safety and vision that guide the entire process.
Before we can really explore a solution, it's essential that we acknowledge the profound, real-world stakes. For so many autistic adults, and for the families who love them, this is the daily reality.
For many, life comes with a persistent background state of anxiety, a nervous system that's just constantly on high alert. And that anxiety is often compounded by the sensory overload that comes from having to navigate a world that wasn't built for an autistic neurotype. It can turn everyday environments into completely exhausting obstacle courses.
And it is so important to understand these challenges are not personal deficits. They represent the accumulated cost of a nervous system that's been under relentless long-term strain. Many families have, of course, tried the conventional options, and while these approaches can be helpful, they often fall short because they don't target the root of the issue, that fundamental dysregulation of the nervous system itself. This program exists because the need is real, and for many, the existing options just haven't been enough.
And that's where Rewiring Calm comes in. It's a comprehensive and thoughtfully structured program designed as an alternative path with 3 distinct phases to reduce this burden of distress. Let's be absolutely clear about the core mission here. The goal is nervous system regulation. It's about reducing the co-occurring conditions like anxiety, trauma, and sensory overwhelm. It is not and will never be about trying to change or treat a person's core autistic identity.
So the program is broken down into 3 distinct stages: a foundational period of neurofeedback training, a carefully supported retreat experience, and a crucial integration phase. Now we're going to explore each one in detail.
We'll begin with the foundational first phase, which is all about preparing and stabilizing the nervous system for the deeper work that's going to come later. First, let's quickly define our terms. When we talk about nervous system regulation, what we mean is the system's natural ability to manage stress and recover from being overwhelmed. Dysregulation is the opposite of that. It's a state of being stuck, either in high alert or in shutdown. The tool used in this phase is NeurOptimal, which is a non-invasive form of brain training. Here's how it works. Sensors on the scalp simply listen to the brain's electrical activity. When the system detects turbulence or instability, it creates a very brief, subtle pause in the music the person is listening to. The brain instinctively notices that feedback and uses it as a cue to self-correct, to reorganize itself more efficiently. Over 12 weeks of these sessions, the brain learns to become more flexible, resilient, and stable. And here is a really critical part of the program's design. The individual and their participating family members complete this neurofeedback training together over the same 12-week period. What this means is that everyone arrives at the next phase speaking the same language of regulation because they've experienced it firsthand in their own bodies.
Okay, that brings us to the second phase, a unique, nature-based psilocybin retreat that's designed with meticulous, trauma-informed care.
The retreat itself is built on an innovative 2-day structure. Day 1 is essentially a dress rehearsal. A participant takes a lower perceptual dose of psilocybin in the exact same room with the exact same people where the main session will happen. The whole point is to remove the fear of the unknown. By the time day 2 arrives, nothing is unfamiliar. Not the space, not the medicine, not the facilitators. This builds a profound foundation of safety for the deep therapeutic work of the high-dose session. And this reveals another core structural innovation. The family members actually complete their retreat experience first. They then have 2 full weeks to integrate and stabilize before the autistic individual begins their own retreat. Think about what that means. The people who are providing support have already walked the exact same path themselves. It completely transforms the quality of understanding and care that's possible. Now, let's talk about what happens after the retreat. This third phase, integration, is arguably the most important part of the entire process. It's where a profound experience gets translated into lasting, real-world change. It's easy to think of integration as just a cool-down period, but it is so much more than that. Both clinical experience and research consistently show that this is where the hard work happens, and it's where the durable benefits are truly built. The biological reason this works is a principle called neuroplasticity, which is just the brain's natural ability to reorganize itself and form new connections. Certain psychedelic experiences create a temporary window of enhanced neuroplasticity, a time when the brain is more flexible and open to change. Integration is the focused work that you do inside that window.
And this isn't some abstract idea. It's a structured 2-week clinical period, grounded in published evidence-informed practices. It includes things like facilitated conversations, journaling, somatic work, which are practices that connect the mind and body, and concrete behavioral planning. The goal is to process the experience and then apply those new insights to daily life. And importantly, both the individual and their family members receive their own dedicated integration support.
All right, finally, let's talk about the framework of safety and the larger vision that really animates this entire program.
Safety is absolutely non-negotiable. Every single step is guided by a trauma-informed framework. This includes careful medical screening, a gradual and predictable structure, ongoing consent at every turn, and, of course, experienced medical supervision. This is a program that was built by families, including people with deep personal connections to the autism community, for other families.
This commitment to rigor is also reflected in how the program measures progress. It uses a validated tool called the Autism Treatment Evaluation Checklist, or ATEC. This is administered at 3 key points: at the very beginning to get a baseline, again after the neurofeedback phase, and finally after the entire program is complete. This allows for a clear-eyed assessment of what changes are happening at each stage.
It's important to note that this work is happening at a really unique moment in time. The scientific, cultural, and legal landscapes for psychedelic therapies are moving quickly. A convergence of federal and state-level momentum is making thoughtfully designed, care-focused programs like this increasingly possible. And all of this brings us back to the ultimate vision of the program. This is not about sedation or just making someone calmer. It is about liberation. It's about lifting the heavy, unnecessary weight of chronic dysregulation so a person can be more fully themselves. Which leaves us with a final, essential question. What becomes possible? What happens when an individual is free to move through the world with less interference, able to more easily share the intelligence, the creativity, and the unique gifts that have been there all along? For families who see their own story in this mission and who are drawn to this particular approach, we invite you to continue your research and to learn more.